All right, good afternoon, guys. So just as promised, I'm going to show you some strategies that we went over in class with multiplication and division. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you, and all this should just be a review to you. So if you do have any questions on those, just kind of let me know. Okay, so remember the box method. So if you're given two numbers, for example, if you're given 13 times 12, okay? So we're going to use our box method. So we're going to separate this number. So we're going to look at this right here. The value of the 1 in 13 is a 10. And then the value of the 3 in 13 is a 1. Okay, then we put our plus sign. So we know 10 plus 3 is 13. So we know we did that one correctly. So we do the same thing to the bottom. The value of the 1 in 12 is 10. And the value of the 2 and the 1s is a 2. And of course, we add the same. And then we multiply, we take care of upstairs before we do downstairs, right? Because we want to be able to relax after we do all that hard work, right? So we take 1 times 1 is 1, and then we add 1, 2 zeros. 1 times 3 is 3, and then we add 1 0. Do not forget those zeros because those zeros make a big difference in your answer. 2 times 1 is 2, and then you add the 0. 3 times 2 is 6. Now, when you get to this step, are you done? No. What do you have to do? Add them. Okay, now I know, I'm sure you can see, you can kind of add them in your head and you know the answer, but we're going to go ahead and line up our place values. 100 plus 30, just so you can see all of the steps. It's supposed to be a 3, sorry. And then we're going to add the ones place first. So we have 6. 3 plus 2 is 5, and then the answer is 1. So the answer is, I'm so sorry. Writing with this is just not my best work. 156. And you notice I squared in my boxes, right? So I know that that's my answer. I can see that, okay? Or you can do it the standard algorithm way, which is just multiplying them across, right? 3 times or down, 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. You add that placeholder. 3 times 1 is 3. And 1 times 1 is 1. So 6. And then you add them across, right? Or add them up and down. And if you notice, you get the exact same answer. Okay, the exact same answer. Okay, so it doesn't really matter which way you do it, it's whatever is your preference, okay? So that's one way that we've done it. Now, I'm gonna show you another one that you're gonna come across on this, okay? So I'm gonna clear it. I'm gonna make my square again. Except this time, I'm going to separate it only into, sorry, my other half of my box seems to have disappeared. Okay, so again, doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so what if you get a problem like this? You get 20 times 15. Oof, that looks a little different because if you notice in the ones place in 20, there's a 0. And what is the value of a 0? It's 0. So the only value you really have is 2. This is 20, right? So we take that 20, we're going to put that on the side. And then we're going to take this apart. The value of the 1 in 15 is a 10. The value of the value of the 5. Okay, now we're going to multiply. We just multiply straight across, okay? 2 times 1 is 2, and then you add 1, 2 zeros. 2 times 5 is 10. Oh, but then it gets tricky. You have to add another 0. These multiples of 5 times 2 is 10. We have to make sure we have that answer in there. And then we put the 0, because whenever we are adding our work and we don't put that extra 0 like we're supposed to, because you're like, I already have a 0, then your whole answer is wrong. Think about your facts. You know 5 times 2 is not 1. It is 10. And you have to remember that 0. And then we just add those, right? Which is 300. Okay. Now again, if that's just too hard for you, you can do it this way, right? So 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 2 is 10. Add the 0. 1 times 0 is 0. 2 times 1 is 2. Again, you get the exact same answer, right? So it doesn't really matter how you do it as long as you whichever was easier for you, okay? So the answer is 300, okay? So that's our box method, okay? Now, what I'm going to show you next is our division. Now, I know how much, how hard division can be, so this is gonna kind of help break that down for you so it's not so scary. Okay, so if we do our acronym, does McDonald's love cheeseburgers? Do you remember that one in class? A lot of people were telling me how much they love their cheeseburgers. But guess what, guys? I still love their cheeseburgers too. And I hope that you've enjoyed some on your little, we'll just call this a little staycation. Do we say, does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? Okay. Now, I know that these steps are kind of long and it takes a minute, but I promise this will help break it down so it's not so hard. But I'm going to go ahead and add my symbols so that I know that I need to follow these steps to make sure that I do what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, so I'm going to do one over here. I'm going to do, let's start with 3 divided by, 96 divided by 3. So we always start at the division. We take 3 and we start at the left side, right? Now this is our divisor, so this is what we're gonna divide our number or separate them, right? How many times does 3 go into 9? And I know sometimes the wording can kind of throw you off, but you remember one of our strategies that we did in class? If you don't know that 3 times 3 is 9, what you're going to do is draw your circles. Do you remember that? Now remember, it doesn't matter if you do 3 across, 4 across, 5 across, as long as you have that many circles, as long as you have 9. It doesn't matter how you line them up. I just am very particular about my dots, and sometimes they just make perfect circles, perfect little lines, and that's okay. Separate in groups of 3. So we have, it's just easier for me. 1, 2, 3. So I have 3. So I know that there's 3 groups that I can do it with. So 3 times 3 is 9 because we just go right on down the next step. Then we subtract and we check. We know that the 9 plus 0 is 9 because the inverse operation of subtraction is addition. And then we bring down that 6. And if you have this divisor that's left over and this one is bigger than the divisor, then that means that this dividend, then that means that you can make more groups into that, which means you're gonna have to divide, okay? So let's start back over. 3 goes into 6. How many times? 3 times what is 6? Again, if the wording confuses you, it's okay. We can go ahead and draw our circles. In this case, you're going to draw 6 circles instead. And again, it doesn't matter which way you do it as long as you understand what you're doing. You can put 2 across, 3, whatever you want to do, okay? So we know this divisor does not change, so we're going to put these in groups of 3. 1 group, 2 groups. So we know the 2 goes up here because it's part of the answer, okay? Then we go to multiply. 2 times 3 is 6. Then you subtract. Check it. 6 plus 0 is 6 because, again, the inverse operation of subtraction is addition. And then we have nothing left to bring down. So there we go. We're all done, right? So there's no remainder. So it's just 32. So there's your answer. Are we finished? Nope. Now you're going to have to check your work by taking the number, your answer up there, and multiplying it by 3. Now, we know we multiply it because, again, the inverse operation of division is multiplication. 3 times 2 is 6. Again, you really can't see that. I apologize. And 3 times 3 is 9. So if you get 96, your answer like you were supposed to, and it matches it, that means you are done and you've gotten your answer, and I can box in my answer. But if you didn't get this answer, that means you missed one of these steps, or you did it, or you just realize that you didn't make enough circles, or you didn't do this right, okay? And that's okay. You just go back and do it again. Okay, this is what I'm looking for on your homework. On your quiz. I need to know that you understand this. And then you have to also promise me that you will not use a calculator. I know it is really tempting just to grab your phone and let me figure out the answer real quick. But I promise you that is not going to help you because you're not going to understand it whenever we do a test. You're going to be so confused because you'll be relying on your calculator. So say, I promise I will not use a calculator. Okay? Promise. Okay, if you have any questions on any of this, please, please, please let me know. All right? Bye, guys. I miss you.